Within this online learning, Penty and I will be covering everything about the tape. We're going to begin with, what is tape? From then we're going to focus on the different types of tape that you can buy. So from the high-end tape to the lower-end tape, which ones are stickier, which ones recoil best, and which ones are best for our clients. We're going to cover the general application principles of tape. We cover how to apply tape in different modalities later on in the course, but it's good to know just the initial principles of how we apply the tape to begin with. And after we've applied the tape, we need to know how to remove the tape. So we're going to discuss different ways and methods of removing the tape so you can then teach those to your clients. And finally, we're going to discuss taping adhesive and why we don't recommend taping adhesive for kinesio taping, and that forms part of the contraindications.
Kinesiology tape is made up of cotton and elastic, and that gives it two really important properties. One, it's breathable, so it doesn't irritate the skin too much, and secondly, the elasticity allows us to create stretch or recoil within the tape itself. In addition to that, it has adhesive on the back, which is medical grade. It's medical grade and also heat activated, which is important when we come to how we apply it. It is then applied to some substrate paper at the back with a tension on it already. So what you will notice is as you peel the paper off the back of the tape, it actually recoils. So there's about 10% tension on that tape, and we then change or modify how much stretch we put on that tape to achieve different things. Once we add stretch above about 70%, we lose that elastic recoil, and that's an important point to note because it's where we move from a stimulus to more of a structural type taping when we put that much stretch on the tape. There are lots of types of tape out on the market, and I think it's really important when you're buying them that you consider what it is you're trying to achieve. And also I'll give you my view on what I find to be the downfall on some of the cheaper tapes out there. One, it's gotta last. So if it sticks well, if the elasticity and the recoil is good, it can be therapeutic for 4 to 5 days. If it's not very elastic, it doesn't have a good recoil, and it doesn't stick very well, well then obviously one, the result you're going to get is not going to be as good, and two, it's not going to be as durable, it's not going to last. And remember, this tape is about us prolonging our results and helping keep some of the results we get in our hands-on sessions. We want to ensure it lasts as well as possible. So, two things to look out for. One, quality of the tape, and you can tell that straight away. When you look at the cheaper tapes, you peel them off, you can tell that once you stretch them, they've lost that recoil. You can't re-stretch them, the quality's just not there. And secondly is, it doesn't stick very well to the skin. Other options out there in terms of what you can buy are different widths. So we have 5 centimeter wide, this one I think is 10 centimeters wide, and a whole variety of colours. Colour makes no difference whatsoever unless you like them. Sometimes I often have blue and pink in my clinic, and that's really for me to know what I'm doing. I tend to use pink when I'm activating, blue when I'm inhibiting, but actually it makes no difference at all other than looking different. In terms of width, I would say 5 centimeter is what I use the most widely in my clinic. But I do love to have the 10 centimeter around. I find it fantastic for the back of the pelvis, so bigger areas that you're working on, or just simply bigger bodies. I also find it quite good for some of the functional, more fascial work we do, where we're trying to stimulate larger areas of connective tissue to create different movement patterns and positions. Then it can be quite useful there as well. The key thing we need is a sharp pair of scissors as well when we're doing tape, because we need to trim tape. Okay, so you will see us throughout the modules, throughout the different tapings, creating things like this, which is more of a fan shape with the tape. You will see us rounding edges, really important in terms of not catching the tape, so helping with its durability as well. So you need to consider the type of tape you purchase, the quality of that, the different widths, and also making sure you've got good sharp scissors so that you can cut it quickly, you can cut it without fraying, and you can also round the edges quickly to help with the durability.
So there are lots of different options of tape that you can buy. If you go online, you can find endless amounts of tape at various different prices. And we thought it is really important for you to understand the different types of tape that are out there and the quality of tape as well, because the quality is really important, as you want to make sure that the tape is sticky, that it recoils well when needed to, and also it's made of good quality materials. So I have 4 different types of tape here. We have higher end of the market and lower end of the market. So we're going to go through each one and explain which ones have the best stickiness, the best recoil, and also just feel the nicest as well. So we're going to start with the yellow one first of all. So yellow tape, it's the 5cm tape. And again, as Pentony mentioned before, all the colours don't make any difference in terms of the tape themselves, but it's quite a nice colour to have for your clients. So first thing I want to do is just pull away the tissue, the tape from the tissue. So we can test the recoil to begin with. So if I pull that tape from there and see if it comes back. Now first thing I've noticed is that the tissue and the paper has kind of come off the tape already. But if I try and fold that back on, there's a gap. And if I stretch it further, so I'm taking it to a heavy stretch, so coming up to 100%, and actually just by that stretch the tape has come away completely from the paper, and if I stick that back together, again there's greater recoil, but actually it's just not very sticky. So this one, it just isn't sticky as some of the other tapes that are out there. Next one we're going to go for the blue one. So again, same thing, we're going to rip the tissue away from the tape, and then I'm going to pull away gently. So this one doesn't come off as easily as the yellow one, but you can still see there's some sort of give. But if I push that back down, there's a bigger gap there, so actually the recoil on this tape is a lot less, so it doesn't have that spring back capability as some of the other tapes do out there. And again, if I'm pulling this one apart completely, and actually that tissue, the paper has just come away from the tape, it's just not very sticky, and that's not going to last 4 or 5 days that we want our clients to experience. Then we have the pink tape. So again, same test, we're going to break open the paper and pull away. Again, same thing. So if again, it's not very sticky, that's not going to last if our clients are going to be going to the gym or exercising or even taking a shower. And again, with that recoil, if I put that the paper back on, and again you can see that gap from there. So coming into the higher end of the market now, so we're going to go with this tape first of all. So again, breaking the tape, the tissue and the paper away from the tape, and I pull. So there's a lot more recoil back on this tape. And what's good about this is actually the paper isn't coming away. So if I just put that back down, you can see that there's no gap. So it's recoiled back to where we want it to be. But if I pull really hard, it's coming away a little bit, but it's not as much. And then if I go into the stickiness, as you can see, it's very sticky. It's sticking to the tape on the other side, but also you can hear there's a lot more stickiness to that tape. That's going to last a lot longer for your clients. And then finally, this is a water resistant tape. And so same things apply. We're going to break open the center, pull, and actually that's even sticky. You can see that, and the recoil again is stronger, so it's got better recoil capabilities than the high-end tape, but again a lot more than the other end tape. Now the water resistant tape, or the H2O tape as this company has called it, is really good for people that are swimmers and also sweat a lot as well. So if I pull the tissue away from the tape and then have a bit of a stickiness, can you see the difference? So if I'm using my fingers, again it's a lot more sticky. So there is a difference in this type of tape. So it is important when you're choosing the tape for your clients to make sure that it's going to last as long as you want it to. If you buy the tape at the lower end of the market, yes, it's going to be more cost effective for you, but really, is it going to make that much of a difference for your clients? Probably not. You don't want your client to get home from your treatment and that tape is already peeling off their skin. So always invest in good quality tape because it lasts a lot longer and gives your clients better results.
Next, in terms of application of the tape, a couple of key things to note. One, is the size of the tape, and that's dictated by the area you want to work, the muscle. It might be positional, and also the size of the body you are. So it's important that you measure that tape before you cut it so that you don't waste. The next key point is about rounding the edges, so taking your scissors and just creating a rounding rather than the sharp corners of the tape. And that really does make a big difference in terms of the durability and the longevity of your taping, because it stops it catching when your client puts their clothes on and takes their clothes off. Really, really important. The next thing in terms of that longevity is applying it to clean, dry skin. Really, really important. So the tape can get wet, they can get it wet, pat it dry, it will still stay on for 4 or 5 days. But if it's not adhesed very well in the first instance, then it tends not to last. And that can be quite difficult if you're a massage therapist, you've used a lotion, a wax, an oil before taping. Another point to note in terms of application is body hair. So if your client has very long, very thick body hair, I find it tends not to stick very well. Other people, if the hair is not very dense but it is long, it still sticks quite well, and that's really trial and error. If you really feel that taping needs to be part of a treatment, your client feels they get great benefit and they are quite dense in terms of hair thickness, then I'll often say to them to make sure that they shave the area that they want to tape before treatment. But it's certainly not something that I do within my treatment.
So once we have applied the tape, we also need to know how to remove the tape. And this video is really important to be able to understand, to then share this with your clients, so your clients know how to remove the tape because they're going to be removing their tape at home. There are many different ways of doing it, and it's really important that we find a nice comfortable way for each client to avoid any skin irritation or irritation to the follicles as well. Each method is slightly different but has the same premise and is all about creating some distraction and peeling the tape off nice and gently. With all of the tape, we recommend that the client removes the tape in the shower. It's a nice relaxing way of doing it, but also their skin is a lot more moist and the skin is wet as opposed to when they're out of the shower and the skin is completely dry. So try all of these methods with yourself to see which one feels comfortable for you, and then you can use these for each individual client that you see. The first is the tapping technique, and it requires, as your client pulls the tape off their skin, they apply a tap with the opposite finger on the tape as they start to peel off, and it creates that distraction technique as they remove the tape. The pressure technique. This requires pressure with one finger on the tape as you peel the tape away with the other hand. So as you slide the tape up away from the skin, that pressure is maintained with that finger, creating that distraction technique. The skin from tape technique. This is where you move the skin away from the tape. So using your fingers to create a stretch on the skin as you ease the tape off. And as you're easing the tape away from the body, the hand that's stretching the skin moves down towards the edge of the tape. When you are searching for tape online, you may come across some taping adhesive, and it's a very popular thing to use with some of the other zinc oxide taping methods that you see in sports clubs and sports teams and on the pitches. For kinesio taping, we don't need to use a taping adhesive for our clients, and there's a few reasons why. The first reason is if you are trying to create an environment that is free from extra chemicals and things that we don't want to be applying to our client's skin, then the taping adhesive is often full of chemicals and often comes with an aerial spray. So it's not ideal if we want our clients to have as natural and clean skin as possible. Also, those taping adhesives can often cause irritation because they aren't natural properties in them. And I've seen it myself with clients that have had skin rashes from taping adhesive around the tapes. The tape hasn't caused any irritation, but the adhesive has. But also with kinesio tape, if it's applied in the best conditions possible, it should last about 4 to 5 days. And at that point, they should be taking it off to get that skin break before any reapplication anyway. So if you're adding adhesive, it's going to last a lot longer. But it's not really what we're trying to achieve when we're using taping, because at that point we want to be taking the tape off and either reapplying with a different type of tape after a skin break or having other modalities to help that client achieve their goals.